So for the process of initiation should start, the smaller subunit of ribosome, they have to find the region where they have to go and stick it with, especially to the starting codon, that is AUG. So imagine it is an mRNA. This mRNA contains a starting codon here, that is AUG. The smaller subunit has to go and attach. So there should be some signal for the smaller subunit of ribosome to go and attach with the starting codon. In case of prokaryote, they have a special sequence known as Chiene-Dalgarno sequence, which was named after the discoverer. This Chiene-Dalgarno sequence will help these 30S ribosomal subunit to find their place to come and attach with the starting codon. So these sequences are present before the starting codon. So this special sequence will give information to 30S ribosomal subunit to come and attach with the starting codon of the mRNA. So these sequences are AGG, AGG. When 30S ribosomal subunit encounters this type of sequence, they can able to identify that they have a starting codon next to this sequence, so that they can able to come and attach with the mRNA in case of prokaryote. So this happens in case of prokaryote. But in case of eukaryotes, I think I've told in the last video, in case of eukaryotes, the 40S ribosomal subunit, there is no special sequences to help the subunit, that is smaller subunit, that is 40S subunit of eukaryotes to come and bind with the starting codon. But here they have Chiene-Dalgarno sequence which will help them to come and attach with the starting codon. But here this 40S ribosomal subunit doesn't have any special sequences to find their place. So they have to scan the complete mRNA to find the starting codon AUG to come and attach with them. So here it is known as scanning. So this 40S subunit should scan for the starting codon. They have to come and bind with it. So as soon as they come and bind here, and here the tRNA will bring the specific amino acid, as we all know. Step in case of translation is nothing but elongation. So the initiation complex was formed with mRNA and with the smaller subunit and also with the larger subunit, and they make 80S ribosome in case of eukaryotes. So here this is the smaller subunit of ribosome. This is the larger subunit of ribosome. This is 40S ribosome and this is 60S ribosome. And here you can able to find the starting codon AUG. And here you can able to find the tRNA that brings the anticodon. The anticodon arm of tRNA will bring the anticodon for this particular mRNA sequence to come and bind. Okay. So here it pairs with UAC. So here you can able to find an anticodon arm of tRNA. So the tRNA brings the first amino acid methionine. So now this tRNA is known as charged tRNA because it carries the amino acid. So now this complex is formed. This complex is known as initiation complex. Now this chain has to elongate to form the polypeptide chains. And to this elongation in detail, we should know the larger subunit of ribosome consists of 3 sides. Okay, this is the largest subunit of ribosome. And here you can able to find the smaller subunit. And here you can able to find 3 sites inside the larger subunit of the ribosome. This site is known as A site, this site is known as P site, and this site is known as E site. A represents known as amino acyl, A represents amino acyl or acceptor site, and P represents peptidyl site, donor site, and the next site is known as exit site. The first tRNA, which is initiator tRNA, will come and bind here in the P site. Okay, they directly come to the P site where they carry the proper anticodons and with the first amino acid. So they come and attach here with the first codon in the mRNA. There will be one more tRNA which will come and attach here in the amino acyl acceptor site. You can able to find the second tRNA which will carry the second amino acid which will carry the, so I'm just writing this as first amino acid, this is second amino acid. The first tRNA, that is the initiator tRNA, comes in, attaches here in the P site of the larger subunit of ribosome. So as soon as the first tRNA comes and attaches here, the second tRNA which bring the next amino acid will come and attach here in the amino acyl site or acceptor site. So when this tRNA comes to the P site, this is E site, this is P site, this is E site, this is A site, and this one is P site. As soon as the first tRNA, we'll go over the next diagram so that you can able to understand it better. Imagine this is the first site of the ribosome and it moves to the second site. Second site where we have larger subunit, smaller subunit, P site, A site, and E site. And the shifting of ribosome from the first site to the second site is done with the help of enzyme known as translocase enzyme. So this movement of the ribosome towards the 3' end of the mRNA is regulated by a special group of enzyme known as translocase enzymes. So these translocase enzymes will help in translocating the place of ribosome. So here in case of translation, the mRNA is not going to move, only the ribosomal units are going to move to the next site to produce the amino acid. So as a result of this first tRNA, what happens? The first tRNA which is in the P site, now it will move to the A site. So with the amino, this is the second tRNA which carries the second amino acid, and here you can able to find the next tRNA comes to the A site, it is getting ready to move to the P site. So it is all three boxes are filled in the second, and it also brings an amino acid. So we'll consider one example. When we relate with this, we can able to make it easier. So we are going to write the hemoglobin chain, that is the amino acids present in hemoglobin chain. The first one starts with, the first amino acid is valine, the next one is histidine, next one is leucine, this is threonine, next one is proline, and we have glutamic acid, and again glutamic acid. These are the amino acids which will form a long chain where they produce a hemoglobin chain. Okay, so we'll take this as example where we are going to produce this polypeptide chain with the help of translation process. So here the first initiator tRNA produces methionine. This initiator tRNA, when they move to the E site of the ribosome, it will be without the amino acid. So this amino acid will be carried by the second tRNA. This is the second tRNA. This is the third tRNA. This is the first initiator tRNA. The second tRNA will bring amino acid. Meanwhile, the first tRNA releases methionine. That is the first produced amino acid. So this methionine will be here. When they stay inside the peptide site, the peptide bonds are formed between two amino acids. So this will bring one amino acid. We'll just take first example valine. So when the second tRNA produces valine, this valine and the methionine produced by the initiator tRNA, they are combined by peptide bonds. These are combined by the peptide, and these bonds are formed with the help of an enzyme known as peptidyl transferase enzyme. This peptide transferase enzyme will help in formation of the peptide bond from the amino acid produced by the first tRNA and amino acid produced by the second tRNA. We'll go with the next diagram. Now the ribosome has moved to the third site. So this is the third place where we have larger subunit and smaller subunits. P site, A site, and E site. So the first initiator tRNA is released outside. Okay, this is the first tRNA, initiator tRNA. It is released outside the ribosomal unit, that is larger ribosomal unit. So this is the initiator tRNA. This initiator tRNA was released outside the larger subunit. Now the second tRNA, which has 2 amino acids, will come here. This is the second tRNA. This is the second tRNA. Now, when this third tRNA moves to this P side, again the fourth tRNA will come and occupy the place in the A side. Okay, so here we have one more amino acid. So this is the first initiator tRNA, this is second tRNA, this is third tRNA, this is fourth tRNA. Okay, as soon as when they move next to this next side, the next tRNA will be ready to come and occupy the A side. When the A side becomes empty, the next tRNA will come and occupy here and they move to P side. When P sides become empty, and this tRNA will come and occupy the site in the P region. Okay, so now the second tRNA carries the amino acid. Okay, so third tRNA will produce histidine, second amino acid chain, histidine, and before that the second tRNA has produced valine, the initiator tRNA has produced methionine. So when these tRNA are in the peptidyl site or P site of the ribosome, the bonds are formed between the amino acid to make it as a complete chain. Now this tRNA will move to the site of P. Okay, we'll draw one more diagram, that is larger, smaller subunit, P site, A site and E site. Here again, this is the first tRNA, this is the second one, third one and fourth one. Now the second one falls up. Okay, so here we have 2 tRNAs. This is the first tRNA and again we have one more, that second tRNA also came out. This is the second tRNA, this is the first tRNA. They are released into the cytoplasm from the E site of the ribosome. Now this third one, so we have seen in the P site, no, this third one will come to the second place. So you can able to find the third one is being placed in the E site of the ribosome. So this is the third tRNA. Here you can able to find the fourth tRNA comes and occupies the place. The fourth tRNA, which is here, will come and occupy this place when third moves to the second place. So here you can able to find the fourth tRNA, which carries the amino acid. Again the fifth tRNA will come and occupy the place with another amino acid. When they move, they leave the chain to this amino acid. So this is 5, this is 4 and this is 5. When this third is going to move out of the larger unit of ribosome, amino acid is leucine. So imagine this is leucine producing tRNA, and already we have histidine and we have valine and we have methionine. So as they produce continuously, a continuous polypeptide chain is formed, okay, where we can able to find the complete polypeptide chain as the process gets over. When location of this ribosome, okay, here it is seen in the first side, now it has moved to second side and again it has moved to third side. So by this way they move towards the 3' end of the mRNA until the complete process gets over. So for the elongation of this polypeptide chain, there are elongation factors are needed for this process. So they are known as elongation factors. They are nothing but protein. Along with that, we need guanosine triphosphate to produce energy for the elongation of polypeptide. As of prokaryotes, we have elongation factors 1A, elongation factors 1B and elongation factor 2. So all these factors are responsible for the elongation of the polypeptide chain. The last step in translation is known as termination. As we all know, the process is going to come to an end where all the amino acids are produced by the complex. Okay, we'll draw the complex again. This is 5' end of the mRNA. This is 3' end of the mRNA. Now the 3' end of the, like the ribosomal subunit comes towards the 3' end of the mRNA. Here we have this P site and this is A site. This is A site. Here we have the last tRNA which carries the last amino acid of this chain. When this A site encounters a stop codon, 3 stop codons, they are nothing but UAA, UGA and UAG. When the A site encounters any of these stop codons, the process will come to an end. Okay, this A site will read the codons. Imagine we have UAA, so there is no specific tRNA molecule for the stop codon, so it is not going to bring any anticodon for the stop codons. So as soon as the A site reads this particular codon, the process will come to an end. Okay, so the process should come to an end and all these substances should get separated. So for these, when the A site encounters this stop codon, there is one more factor known as release factors. There is one more factor known as release factor comes to this region. So this is known as release factor and it is also known as RF factor. This RF factor will come here. So because of this RF factor, the larger subunit and smaller subunit dissociates into 2 separate units. So this is larger subunit, this is smaller subunit. They get dissociated when they reach the terminator codon and also with the help of release factor. All these structures will get dissociated. Now the process will come to an end. So for the process of termination, we need releasing factors and these releasing factors will help in dissociating all the initiation complex which is formed earlier as larger subunit and smaller subunit. They get separated and they move to the place and again they get back to the inactive state, and these ribosomes will get back to an active state when there is a need for protein synthesis. And the proteins which are produced as a result of translation will undergo a number of cyclical processes to transform them into a proper structure, maybe a structural protein or enzyme. By the next video, we'll learn about the next topic in molecular genetics. Thank you.